Rush has sold, and I wrote this down, more than 40 million records. And you've been together as a band for, what, more than 4 decades?
Yeah.
Pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
The same group of people holding together. And your fan base is well known as maybe the most loyal fan base in all of rock and roll. Now, my question is, what's the secret to this longevity?
I think I was blessed with meeting 2 people that at their core were considerate people. As far back as I remember, I can't think of a single ego trip that either of my partners ever went on. We just are blessed with nice personalities, you know. The curse of being Canadian is being nice, right? We always say sorry. So I think that's helped a lot, frankly, because, and there's only 3 of us, and 2 against 1 isn't fair, so we never gang up on each other. And when 2 of us do gang up on the other one, even if it's in humor, we always feel a little guilty afterwards. And at the core of it, we share a rock-solid friendship. Early on, we would have these discussions. For example, when someone had written a song, say Alex and I, only 2 of the 3 of the members had written a song, and we had to divide the song for publishing credits and things like that. And we would get in these conversations about, well, you wrote that part, I wrote this part, and it just seemed dumb. So we made a decision very early on. He said, look, the 3 of us are working on these songs equally. Whether the germ of the idea came from 1 or 2, who cares? They're a product of the 3 of us. So let's just agree right now that we will split everything, you know, a third, a third, a third, and we never have to talk about it again. And we said, agreed. And so we never, ever had to have that discussion again. And I think that was a big, you know, weight taken off our shoulders, really. It allowed us to focus on the music and not worry about those other things. Now, also, along the way, there have been difficult times. I'm not going to say that it was always sunny and cheery. Before we did our 2112 album, our Crest of Steel album was not doing well, and support for us out on the road was drying up. And the record company thought, well, maybe this was a bad investment. These guys are just getting too weird. And we were sort of faced with, you know, maybe we got one more record they're going to do for us and we'll see what happens. And so it was difficult, but we didn't lose our sense of humor through it all. And we came back by making the 2112 album, which ended up being a breakthrough record for us. And so it just sort of helped us gird ourselves in a way and stick together. But I think the friendship thing is no small part of it.
Well, you used a phrase I hadn't heard before. You said, well, the 3 of you think of yourselves as the world's smallest symphony orchestra. For someone who's watching and listening to this and doesn't know you or your music very well, what's the inside joke of we're the world's smallest symphony orchestra?
Well, okay, so to the uninitiated, we began life as a 3-piece rock band, you know, playing quite loudly. And the music was energetic, and as we got older, we started adding more and more complex arrangements. And then prog rock was starting to become a thing, and they were bringing these instruments like synthesizers, and bands were making records with orchestras. And we kept trying to figure out a way to bring those elements into the band, but not have other musicians. You know, we wanted to do it ourselves. And I think we were always, you know, very defensive about maintaining the troika, the 3-man thing. Right. It's okay to bring a new sound into the band, a new idea, but we somehow have to generate that sound ourselves. So, and we became this sort of strange amalgamation of influences. I started playing keyboards. Alex started adding foot pedals. Neil started actually adding, you know, electronic drums that could trigger very different sounds.
Right.
And slowly that joke of being the world's smallest symphony orchestra was starting to become a reality, because we could bring orchestral music and textures into this 3-piece hard rock thing. So that became quite a challenge and quite a lot of fun for us on stage too.
You really can't talk about Rush and not mention the fans.
Right.
What's the funniest thing ever happened to you with your fans?
You know, sometimes I'll be, and I'm sure this happens to you when you're in a public restroom and you're doing your business, and then a fan comes up to you and wants your autograph, and you're like, I got my hands full right now, so can I meet you outside in a few minutes? That kind of thing is fairly normal.
It seems to me you and the band have always made a point of responding to the fans. That's not always true of rock groups.
No, it's not always true. And we went through a period when, at least I did personally, when I was grappling with fame and trying to figure out how I was going to handle fame. And it goes back to an incident that happened after a show in Germany. And I was about to go on a holiday with my wife, and I'd rented a car, and this was the last show, and we were gonna drive through Switzerland or something like that. And I remember at the time, Neil, our drummer, who's always very shy and always very uncomfortable around fans, and rather than deal with it, he just hides from them. So that's the way he deals with it. Alex, on the other hand, is very gregarious, you know, and he's got all day. You know, if he meets a fan in the street, he's just a big, lovable teddy bear, and he'll spend all the time with it. And I was sort of caught between these two directions of how to deal with it. And I remember driving out of that gig, and there was a team of fans from Italy holding a big poster, and they had come all the way from Milano or something like that to see us. And I was just on my way to my holiday, and it's the end of a tour, and I was sort of at the fed up stage of the tour where you just got to get away. I remember going down the driveway and seeing them there and backing the car up, turning around and driving away. Well, I must have felt guilty about that for 200 kilometers. And it stayed with me. It sort of haunted me. And I thought, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the guy that runs away from a fan who's come so far just to say, I love what you do, you know? So I made a decision at that point in my life that I was going to live my life the way I wanted to. I wasn't going to shy away from fans. I was just going to deal with it. And I was going to get good at dealing with it. So when someone comes up to me on the street and they're nervous and they're shaking, I'd take over the situation and calm them down, give them an autograph, and then they're on their way and they're happy and I'm happy and I don't have any feelings of guilt left behind. So it was a kind of a pivotal thing for me to go through that and learn, you know, it's all about learning who you are and how you're going to handle yourself in a world where you're sort of a celebrity. Time and time again, I get fans come up to me, and the most common thing they say to me is that your music helped me through a difficult time, or your music inspired me to hang in there. And that's really touching to hear. And the journey that we're on as a trio and the way we've become successful also delivers a message to them of persistence and of stick-to-itiveness. And I think they really like that. I think they identify with that. What I do notice now is that it's become a thing for people to hand to their children. I see families now at our shows. I see proud dads with young children, and they're showing them that they love this band and they want their kids to love this band too. So it's become a hand-me-down thing, like me taking my son to the ball game and teaching him how to score a game. You know, it's something, they're sharing their passion for something, and by doing that, they're also showing their kids that it's okay to be passionate about something, whether it's baseball, whether it's music, whatever. That's a great thing about being alive, is having passion for things. So I like what that says, and it really warms my heart to look out and see families at a show. And I only hope that their little kids have the big earmuffs on, because I worry about their hearing.